The NFL playoffs are here, and so is the FedEx Air and Ground NFL Player of the Year Awards. Carson Palmer with me to discuss that and more. Carson, great to be with you. Before we go into the FedEx, give me your Carson Palmer pick for the Super Bowl as we're about to start the playoffs.
I'm going to say New Orleans and the Chargers.
Interesting. Why do you like Los Angeles?
Well, I'm going with my heart a little bit. I just would love to see Phillip Rivers have an opportunity to play for a Super Bowl. But I love their pass rush. I think Melvin Ingram and Bosa are a great tandem. It's great to see Bosa healthy. You've got issues with both those guys on the outside. And I think they're threats on offense. I think with getting Gordon back, he's been banged up with the knee. So they're going to have a little bit of a run game, a little bit of a screen game. And they have so many targets outside, and it all starts with Keenan Allen. I just think they're a mismatch no matter who they play. They have obviously a tough one out the gates going to Baltimore, playing against that defense. I just don't know if Baltimore can beat them twice in a row with having won the last matchup a couple weeks ago.
Do you think the Lamar Jackson style can work in today's NFL?
I don't see it working. I love watching him play, and I'm a fan of his game. I just don't like seeing him get hit that much. If you rush the ball 10, 15 times every week for 16 weeks, and you're not 22 or 23 years anymore, and you're in your third and fourth and fifth year in the NFL, it's just too many hits. And when he's only 205, 210 pounds, nobody can take that beating and still, be accurate enough with the football and not have, shoulder sprains and issues with their neck and their shoulders taking the beating and the hits he's taken. Because I just think at the end of the day, the game in the NFL is won inside the pocket. It doesn't have to be won 16 weeks in a row inside the pocket, but at some point you got to be able to beat people from standing in the pocket and delivering throws accurately downfield. And with the way he gets hit from all the QB designed runs, it's just tough to sustain that for a 16-week season and then into the postseason.
Another guy who moves around, let's talk about Chicago and the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky is very skilled outside the pocket, still working on his accuracy and going downfield. The Bears kind of bringing him along slowly in his second year. What's your opinion of Trubisky in Chicago?
I love their defense, and I love the way that they're built defensively. They're fast. They can rush the passer, obviously, with Khalil Mack. They can stop the run. They're very athletic at the linebacker position, and they have playmakers in the secondary. So I love their defense. I'm just not sold on their offense. They can run the ball. They can possess the ball and keep their defense fresh. But like I said, the same thing about Baltimore. At some point, they're going to be forced to beat you from throwing the ball inside the pocket. And you hope you don't see it if you're them, and you don't expect to see it because their defense is so good. But every once in a while, you can catch yourself, even with a great defense, or the best defense in the NFL, you give up a punt return or, you have a turnover, and before you know it, you got to, overcome a 14 or 17-point deficit. And the way you do that is not by running the football. The way you do that is standing in the pocket and delivering the football. And we just haven't seen Trubisky do that enough or consistently enough to know that he can do it. And, I just think that at some point they're going to end up getting beat because they're going to get behind and have to throw the football, and that's not their forte.
Yeah. Another guy who's moved around his entire career and has had a ton of success. Are you surprised that Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are in this position? I mean, a lot of guys wrote them off early in the year, and here they are with a great chance to beat Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised, but you can't say enough about what Pete Carroll's done. I mean, it truly is amazing to start over from scratch when he first got there and draft his young quarterback and move Matt Hasselbeck, who had been playing really good and had gotten them to playoffs. And you trade for Marshawn Lynch, you draft Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas, and just all the things he did to build the Legion of Boom and build that Super Bowl team that he built, and then to completely blow it up and start all over again. And then all of a sudden you're back in the playoffs that year. It truly is amazing. I mean, what he's done with the roster, the changes he's made, and to have a team with the potential to go into Dallas and beat Dallas and get to the second round of the playoffs, really in a rebuilding year is truly amazing. So you can't say enough about what Pete Carroll's done. And they're a tough out. They're going to be tough to beat. They can run the ball. Russell is dangerous everywhere on the field, and that defense is stingy. That defense has not given up much at all this year. They can rush the passer. They can cover you in man situation, and the best thing they do is sit back in single high defense and play zone. And play cover 3 and not let the ball get thrown over their heads and keep the game in front of them and keep the ball underneath them. So I think that team is really dangerous. And like you said, people have written them off and hadn't expected much from them. And we may see them get to the second round of the playoffs and maybe even further.
Coach of the year, I mean, you're talking about Pete Carroll, Matt Nagy in Chicago, Frank Reich. I mean, there's a million candidates here. If Carson Palmer had a vote, who would you go with?
I'd go with Matt Nagy. I think, they were last in their division last year. They really haven't done a ton on offense, but they've done enough, and they've won and beat good teams. They've played well in primetime games, and there's not a ton they can do throwing the ball down the field. So for them to go into games and just find ways to win and scratch away a victory here and a victory there says a lot about their game plans and their coaching staff. So I think Coach Nagy should get it.
16th season of the Air and Ground program. FedEx is making a $20,000 donation to the USO in the name of both the winning quarterback and the winning running back. So that totals $40,000 for the non-math majors out there. Here are the final 3 from the quarterback position. We got Drew Brees, we got Patrick Mahomes, we got Phillip Rivers. If you had a vote, who would you go with here?
Well, I do have a vote, and I'm
okay.
probably going to end up voting more than once. And how we can vote is NFL's Twitter page or at NFL.com/FedEx. All 6 are great candidates. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes for the FedEx Air Player of the Year, and I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott for the FedEx Ground Player of the Year. I just, when you look at Patrick's numbers, I really want Drew or Phillip to win. Being an old guy myself, I like seeing the old guy win. But when Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdown passes this year, you compare his numbers to everybody else. That's why he's getting my pick. And I'm voting for Ezekiel Elliott for the FedEx Ground Player of the Year. He led the league in rushing. He did it in the past game too. He did it, and being a quarterback, I like seeing running backs that block. He really stepped up his pass protection game this year. So my vote is Patrick Mahomes and Ezekiel Elliott for the FedEx Ground Player of the Year.
Can Patrick Mahomes get better from where he's at? I mean, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. Dude's in his second year. Basically a rookie, though, as far as playing time. I mean, what's he going to do, throw for 60 next year and 6,000?
I mean, possibly. More importantly, they could go, 15-1 or 16-0.
Yeah.
Just on experience. I mean, those numbers are gaudy. They're off the charts, no doubt. And I can see that it's a good argument. How do you improve on that? The way you improve is he's going to have experience. He's going to have playoff experience going into the 2019 season. And there is nothing else, makes you a better player like experience. Being in tough situations, being down a touchdown or being up 14 points or being in 3rd and 20 at the end of a game. Being in the red zone and having to have a touchdown, not a field goal, just those experiences, week in, week out, playoff game experiences. The sky's the limit for him. He will improve. I don't know if he's going to throw for 60 touchdowns next year, but you give a guy like that has that kind of ability and that kind of raw, natural talent, a couple years of experience, you're really going to see him grow, and maybe he does throw 60 touchdowns. Who knows?
Before you get out of here, let's just get maybe one game preview. Let's look at Houston and Indianapolis. It's just an incredible year for Andrew Luck. Who do you like with the Texans and the Colts?
I don't want to bet against either of those quarterbacks. I mean, both those guys, there's just something magic about them. You watch Deshaun Watson. We've all been watching him for years because he's been playing on the biggest stage at the college football level, and now he'll be on the biggest stage at the NFL level. He just has something magic about him. He just finds a way, continuously finds a way. And unlike most quarterbacks in the National Football League, you can say the same thing about Andrew Luck. The skill set's unbelievable, but he just seems to find a way. And I think back to a couple years ago, the playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs, where they rattled off, 21 points in the fourth quarter and came back and won a game that everybody had kind of written them off. They both just have that magic about them. They both have somehow, some way they find a way on 3rd and 8 to get 9 yards, or somehow, some way they find a way to score and then score again under 2 minutes. It's just something that you can't coach, that you can't teach, that some guys have, and both those guys have it. So if you're forcing me to pick a winner in that game, I guess I'm going to go with the home team and say the Houston Texans.
If you had a pick in 2017, last one here, Watson, Trubisky, and Patrick Mahomes, before the draft, who would Carson Palmer have taken?
I would have taken, before the draft, I would have taken Deshaun Watson.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, well, hey, Carson, always great to talk to you. We appreciate you giving us a little playoff preview here, and great work with FedEx as well. We look forward to talking to you down the line.
Thank you. Good to be on the show. Appreciate it.